Hey, I'm Dr. Angie. I'm a holistic veterinarian and I'm taking a break for my afternoon, and I want to tell you about how to feed cats with kidney disease. I so frequently get people coming to me saying, hey, my cat just got diagnosed with kidney disease and my vet recommended a prescription diet. And if you're holistically leaning at all, this can be a huge dilemma because maybe you've been feeding your cat something more holistic. Maybe you've been doing a canned or raw diet, and now your veterinarian wants you to feed a prescription diet. So what do you do? And I've been talking about this a lot, and so I wanted to make this video. It's too long for a reel, and if anyone wants to come join, let me know. I just wrote an article for Animal Wellness. Does anyone buy Animal Wellness? You can usually get them at your grocery store. And I just wrote an article for them, and it's so funny because I was just with a friend yesterday who had this happen to her, and I see there's a panic, and I want to take out the panic for everybody. Let's see. Okay, let me just I'm just going to pull up this article that I wrote so I can share some of this. It's on video. Hey, Claire. And I don't know, Claire, if you have had this happen to you, but so many times I don't know if you've had a client that has come to you after their cat's been diagnosed with kidney disease and they have been recommended a prescription diet, and they feel really conflicted because on one hand, I feel like I have a filter on me. On one hand, they want to feed their cat a holistic diet. They have more holistic leanings. And on the other hand, they also want to do what's best for their cat. And so often cats will get diagnosed with kidney disease or kidney failure, and it's really horrifying. And so I want to tell you that it's going to be okay and that you have more options, and there are a few things that you should know. Let's see. I'm trying to put this live on Natural Cat Vet too. I don't know, Claire, if you're still here. Hey, Stacy. If you can see it on both sides. So first of all, we have to understand what kidney disease is. So most cats, if you're lucky enough to have a senior cat, your cat's probably going to be diagnosed with kidney disease. And that can be a really scary diagnosis. And by the time we find kidney disease on blood work, because that's usually the first time we find it, your cat has already lost about 70% of their kidney function, which sounds really scary, but ultimately cats go on to live for years after their diagnosis, most often. So the words kidney and renal are interchangeable. So you might hear your veterinarian say renal disease, renal failure, kidney disease, kidney failure. And so, yes, your cat's kidneys are failing, but it's not quite that severe unless they're in very end-stage kidney disease. So the International Renal Interest Society, IRIS, stages kidney disease from 1 to 4. And I would say most cats get diagnosed somewhere around stage 2. And here, I'm going to put this in the chat. So IRIS staging. I don't know if on the replay if you can see this. So you want to look and ask your veterinarian what stage your cat is in. If your cat is in stage 2, chances are they're going to live for years and years and years. And this is usually the time that your veterinarian is going to recommend a prescription diet. And I don't often recommend prescription diets at this time, but it's really important for you to decide if you want to do that. So for kidney disease, we restrict phosphorus, which is found in like muscle meat, and protein. So they kind of go together. So when you restrict protein, you're often restricting phosphorus. It's not always that simple, but for the most part, they they go together. And so this really does help the kidneys. It can help slow down progression a little bit, and it can help kitties feel better. So that's important. It can help kitties in the later stages feel better. The problem with restricting protein is that your cat is an obligate carnivore, and they need a high protein, high moisture, low carbohydrate diet to thrive. And so what happens is when we put cats on these low protein diets early on, they will spend years on them, and they'll get some muscle wasting and some other side effects that maybe aren't that good. So maybe we're like robbing Peter to pay Paul. And there is a lot of, I would say, discrepancy, disagreement about the best time to restrict protein over the stages 1 through 4 of kidney disease. And so if you were to sit 5 internists down, veterinary internal medicine specialists, in a room and say, hey, when do you think is the most ideal time to restrict protein? I bet there's not agreement across the board. And that's okay. And so most veterinarians are recommending protein restriction very early on. And they're not doing this to make money off of the diet they're selling. Like food profits are just not that big. So your veterinarian's not trying to make $1. They're really just trying to do the best thing. There are some benefits of switching cats over earlier, is that maybe it's easier for them to switch, because if we wait until they're really sick and they don't have much of an appetite, it's harder to switch foods. But I usually find in my cats that are in stage 1 or 2, I keep them on the diet that they're on, and that is a controversial take, but I want them to stay well muscled. I also really want them to enjoy their diet. And so I will often keep them on the food that they like. So we have this protein restriction, we have this phosphorus restriction, and maybe we're doing it later, or maybe you decide to do it earlier. But what are our options? Unfortunately, most of our options are just the regular prescription diet, Health Science diet, Royal Canin, and Purina. But there are some new players on the market, and I think everyone should know about it. So Blue Buffalo makes a veterinary diet that has probably more desirable ingredient label, like the ingredient deck looks a little better. Now, unfortunately, for cats, in order to make a low protein diet that's going to be more supportive of their kidneys, we have to add some grain in. So now we automatically have a diet that's not species appropriate, but it's appropriate for that cat with kidney disease and can make them feel better in the later stages. I always recommend doing a canned diet whenever possible. So the Blue Buffalo makes a canned and a kibble version. If your cats are eating kibble and that's all they'll eat, then that's fine. Fed is best. We want to feed them no matter what they're going to eat. Sometimes cats just decide what they're going to eat anyways. So the new player that's on the market is a line called Medicus, and it's really exciting because it is a dehydrated, raw prescription diet for kidneys. And they do make other prescription diets, but I'm just talking about the kidney diet now. And it's really exciting because if you've been feeding your cat a raw diet and you find yourself with a kitty that has later stage renal disease and you want to support them with a low protein, low phosphorus diet, you can do it now with a raw diet. It will also have some grains in it because there's just no way to make a lower protein diet without increasing the carbohydrates, but it's made of human grade food, and it has omegas, and it's just a really great way that will be more in line with so many people's belief systems around nutrition and their cat. So I'm really excited about that. The other thing, it's really important when we're feeding cats that have kidney disease, is moisture. Moisture is king. And so whether we get that by more water fountains, usually cats with end stage kidney disease, like stage 3 or 4, are drinking more anyways, but we want to have plenty of water for them and we want their diets to be as moist as possible. Now, some cats are not going to let us rehydrate their raw food, and some cats are exclusively going to eat kibble, because at the end of the day, cats do make their own life decisions like slightly more than dogs. And so again, I want you to feed your cat, because the last thing we need to do is have your kitty not eat, because if they don't eat, then they're really going to be dehydrated, and they're going to waste away from a muscle perspective. So if all you can do is get your cat to eat kibble, that's okay. But ideally, we want a moist diet, we want a raw diet, and now we have this new raw diet that's out. I'm not affiliated with them. I just found out about them and checked into their formulas, and they've done a really amazing job formulating this. So you have lots of options. And so between all the prescription diets, like try all of them, because a lot of the bigger companies now are making loaves and like the kind of more of a pate or the shreds. They're doing the different mouthfeels for the cats. And for a lot of cats, this does make them feel better at later stages, even though it might not be congruent with what you want to feed them. Just keep up their moisture. And if you have any questions, you can leave a comment on this video, or you can find me at boulderholisticvet.com, and I will talk to you all soon.